one. Y equals A, parentheses, x minus h squared, quantity squared, plus k, or ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? So an equation can be in two different forms, and we're going to learn to do both forms. And the way you approach them and get the information is not the same on both. So you're going to have to pay really close attention to the two different kinds. Okay? There will be, I think, 6 or 7 things I want you to know about a parabola based on its equation and calculations that you do. So, first of all, I will want to know if the parabola opens up or down. Okay? How are we going to determine that? If the A is positive, so this A value here in front of the parentheses, or this A value here in front of the x squared, if it's a positive number, the parabola opens up. But if it's a negative number, then the parabola opens down. Okay, so certainly some memorization here. Okay? To find the vertex of the parabola, the vertex is the point where the parabola changes directions. So, kind of like the tip of the parabola. Okay? The vertex in this form right here is the ordered pair HK. Now, keeping in mind that this is the standard form here, okay? So when I take the H from this parentheses, I'm going to be taking the opposite of what I see here. So for example, if this said x minus 3, my H is a positive 3. Because the standard form, or the formula, not really a formula, the standard form of it has a minus, that means the H value is just a 3. So when I show you this, I usually say, take the opposite of what you see here. So if it says x minus 3, your H is positive 3. And then whatever that says out here, plus or minus exactly that, that's my K value. Okay? So my vertex from this kind is HK. All you have to do is look at it to get the vertex. To get the vertex of the other kind, this is where all the work comes in for this. Okay? You have to calculate it. You have to take negative b over 2a. So negative b, whatever that is, that b value, over 2a. Get that value, so whatever it is, get that number, calculate it, and then you have to take it and plug it back in for your x's to get your y value. So you're going to have to calculate the x value of the coordinate by doing negative b over 2a, and then use that, plug it in to get the y value of the coordinate of the vertex. Some of this will make more sense as you see me do it. Okay? A line of symmetry. Every parabola has a line of symmetry. Let me go back up to the picture real quick. A line of symmetry basically cuts the parabola in half. You want to say that? Basically, I can fold it on that line of symmetry, and it lies on top of each other. Okay? So the line of symmetry is where I can fold it in half. Every parabola has a line of symmetry. Because we are working with up-down parabolas only, our line of symmetries are all going to be vertical lines. And we know from earlier in Goal 7 that vertical lines are always x equals. So our line of symmetries are all going to be x equals equations. It's an equation because it's a line. It's going to equal the h value, or the first coordinate of the vertex. So you're going to use this vertex when you calculate or find the vertex. That's going to help you in your next 2 things you're going to find. Okay? So if it passes through the vertex, the line of symmetry, that answer, x equals, whatever that is, whatever this first number is, that's what goes there too. Then you're going to tell me whether or not it has a maximum or minimum value and what the value is. So, if it's an up parabola, if it opens up, then it has a minimum. Because think about that. Let me scroll back up. If it opens up, it's going to go on and on and on and on and on forever. It can't max out. But it does have a minimum value. Okay? And if it opens down, it's going to have a maximum value. Can't go any higher, but it's going to keep going lower. So you got to tell me, does it have a min or a max? And what is its value? The value is going to be the y value of the vertex. So that vertex gives you 2 more pieces of information. Okay? The min or max is always working with y's. Think about a graph, okay? Any kind of graph. It doesn't have to just be a parabola, because you'll work with a lot more graphs in your next algebra-based class. The minimum or maximum is always a y value. How high or how low can it go? Okay, that's an important concept. Then I will want you to find your y-intercept. Every parabola, the up and down kind that we're going to work with, will have one y-intercept. It can't cross the y-axis more than once. It doesn't curve around. Okay, we'll always have one. And we're going to find that by putting a 0 for the y or for the x value and calculating the y value. The x-intercepts, there's either going to be none of those, there's going to be one of those, or there's going to be two of those. Okay? So that depends how it calculates out and depends how your parabola looks. Okay? To find that, we're going to put a 0 for the y value. So we've worked with intercepts before, back in Goal 7, how to find them, putting zeros in and calculating them. Okay? All right. It's easier shown in an example, so let's head right to one. Let's do, I have 2 of each kind. I think I can get through all 4 of them. I think. So we'll try. Okay, so first example. First thing I want you to find is whether or not it opens up or down. And I will give you this list. You don't have to memorize what you have to find, but you got to know how to find it. Okay? So I want to know, does it open up or down? And to find that out, I'm going to look at this a value. And since it's a positive number, it opens up. So already be visualizing what it looks like. Your vertex is your HK value. When it's in this form with parentheses, it's your HK value. So remember that the H, the standard form, had a minus here. So my H value is a positive 1. So I like to say, take the opposite of what you see here. So if it says minus 1, the H value is a positive 1. And then whatever that says, that is your K value, so minus 4. So my vertex is positive 1, negative 4. I want my line of symmetry, and I'm going to be graphing all this in just a minute. My line of symmetry is an x equals. Please remember, because if you don't, every single time it points off, that it's an equation. So it needs to be x equals. And it equals the x coordinate of the vertex. So 1. You don't have to go calculate another number. Then I want to find whether or not it has a maximum or a minimum. Because it opens up, it's going to have a minimum. So think about what that looks like, because it's going to keep going up, 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 so it can't max out, but it does have a minimum. And the minimum is the y value of the vertex, so negative 4. So the minimum is always associated with y's. Next, I want to find my y-intercept. To find my y-intercept, I'm going to take this and put 0 in for x. Now, I'm going to write this down, but I would suggest strongly that you just punch it into your calculator, okay? So, for your y-intercept, you're going to put 0 for x. And then I would just take that as it appears, exactly, 2 parentheses, 0 minus 1, close your parentheses, square it, minus 4, punch that into your calculator, and you're going to get negative 2. So I have y equals negative 2. That's my y-intercept. And then I want to find my x-intercept. So you notice we haven't really done a lot of work yet. We've done a lot of memorizing work, but we haven't done a lot of calculation work. This next part is where your work comes in for this kind of problem. To find your x-intercepts, we're going to put 0 in for y, and this we got to work out. And I'll give you another option later of how to work this out, but I'm going to work it out by hand. So to find my x-intercepts, I put 0 in for y. The easiest way, I think, to do this question, to solve for your x, is to use your square root method that you just did on your assessment. Okay? So that means you got to isolate the square term. So I'm going to add the 4 first. So bring that 4 over by adding it. Divide by 2. So 2 equals x minus 1 quantity squared, and then square root both sides. So 2 square root 2 plus minus is x minus 1. And then bring my 1 over. So I'm not doing anything new. You just did this today on your assessment. And x is 1 plus or minus square root 2. So my x-intercepts are 1 plus the square root of 2, 0, and 1 minus the square root of 2, 0. So here I'm getting 2 of them. Okay, a question so far. So intercepts, we've done this with linear equations. We haven't done it with the quadratic equation, but intercepts work the same no matter what kind of graph you're doing. An x-intercept always means y is 0. A y-intercept means x is 0. Okay, so let's start graphing. For our graph, let's leave it blue. We start at the top. Put your vertex at 1, -4. Work down the line. I didn't draw a very good circle there. There we go. So my vertex. My line of symmetry is a vertical line through the vertex. So we know it's going to look the same on both sides. Your minimum is part of your vertex, so that's not a separate graph. Your minimum is graphed in your vertex, so you don't have to graph that separately. Okay? My y-intercept is 0, -2. When you graph your y-intercept, I will also want you to graph the symmetric point. What I mean by that is this. Here's my line of symmetry. The y-intercept was 1 unit away from the line of symmetry. So that means there is another point on the other side 1 unit away. So draw in that symmetric point. And then I'm going to go to my calculator to get my x-intercept. 1 plus the square root of 2. And I get 2.4. So 1, 2.4, almost 2.5. Now, I don't typically go and calculate the other one because I know I have a line of symmetry to work with. You can certainly go and calculate the other one with your calculator. But if I look at where I just